Okay, so I'm just going to start with like kind of the basics in terms of like, let me just give you specifics so you know what that looked like. And so you guys kind of have an idea. And then again, we can get into like some details and some thoughts I have about it. But if you see my eyes shifting, it's because I took notes. If I ever take notes for a live stream, it means I was like ready to give you guys the good stuff. So here we go. Okay, so let me just go over like what our programs were. So obviously I say based on 101, which is true. But so we have 101 coaching, which is obviously kind of like our bread and butter, intensives, which are 101. I do value-centered sales mastermind. I only run one pod at a time, and there are only 3 people in it. And then I also do what we call like our Millionaire Makers Mastermind. So for my clients that are at multiple 6 figures and beyond, if there is space, which a lot of times there's not, unfortunately, but they go into our Millionaire Makers Mastermind, but it's not really a mastermind in the traditional sense. Like it's still one-on-one, like they still get all their one-on-one calls. We just do one mastermind call a month. So it's basically all centered around one-on-one. So that's kind of the gist. Again, like I've thrown in little pieces here and there, but you can see like with my mastermind, it's still one-on-one, or like with value-centered sales, there's only 3 people in it for that reason. Yeah. Oh shoot, I'm missing some of your comments. I'm so sorry, guys. I will go back to them for sure if I miss them. Oh, you just finished the MSC bundle. Yay, Michelle, that's awesome. Oh, yay, so good. Hi, Emily. Elisa did too. Awesome. Oh yeah, that's one other thing I should add in here. I also did a Million Her training this year. So that technically does factor into our income. Obviously, it was a very, very small percentage of our income. I think we only charge like $199 for it. And then I also have products that range from like $10 to $199 that factor into this as well. So obviously that's part of this, just to be transparent, but certainly not the bulk of our income at all. And it's not something we like push or run ads to or anything like that. So it's just kind of stuff that trickles in every month. Yeah. Oh, you won it in the literally launch. That's awesome, Michelle. Okay, cool. So what is basically the structure then in terms of like, how are we getting to $1 million here? Is that we do a revenue share with our clients. So our base rate is $12.50 a month. That's for 3 calls, unlimited base camp support. Obviously, if you're my client, you know I am like very, very, very present in there. So our base rate is obviously like exceptionally low compared to 90% of our, and probably higher than 90% of our industry. And so what we make money off of is revenue share on top of that. Oh, you guys are making my day. I'm so sorry if I'm missing your comments, but I love you guys. And I'm so appreciative that you like MSC. It makes me so happy. So revenue percentage is 10%. So 10% of new revenue. So if you started working with me tomorrow, it wouldn't be like 10% of the revenue you're already making. It would be 10% of new revenue generated. So that's an important thing to factor in. I think sometimes people misunderstand revenue per share, where they think like someone's just immediately coming in and giving me 10% of their business, which they are not. But what's really cool about how it's kind of shaken out, I guess you could say, is most of my clients have started with me at a super low income range, right? So most of my clients, I would say, have started with me at like between 0 and 5K months, and we've gone on to make 6-7 figures together. And that's what's really cool. And it also is what works really well for my business model. So in many ways, I feel like I built the business model that works best for my skill set, which is like helping someone like start and really, really, really grow. So a question I think I got asked quite a bit like last week, but I've also gotten it before when I was talking about this, is when people just like make money and leave. So I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I want to see what y'all are saying. With a baby asleep on your arm. Aw, well, look at you still typing away, Emily. Yeah, Shark Tank model. Exactly. I definitely was watching Shark Tank around the time I thought of this for sure. I would like to start working with you tomorrow. I would like to start working with you tomorrow too, Alyssa. Yeah, exactly. And it makes it accessible. And that's really important to me. in the work I did in the nonprofit space, that was something I really cared about a lot, was like our service delivery model and were we creating accessibility and stuff. And so I think that my brain just naturally kind of like works like that and it pours over. But so that's kind of how it grows, if that makes sense. So it's like new revenue. Well, if someone comes to you at 0 and new revenue builds and now they're making multiple 6, 7 figures and you're getting 10% of that, like you can see that that's where it grows so much, right? Oh, let me grab Michelle's question because she says reposting. It did get lost. Sorry. How many hours did you say you spend on one-on-one calls per week? How many hours did I say I spend on one-on-one calls per week? 20-ish. Yeah, probably 20-ish. And like, by the way, for a lot of people, I know that seems like a lot. So this is not like a recommendation of this business model by any means. For me, that feels really good and juicy and I love it. But like, if you cringe at that this is not like everyone should have this business model, it's totally cool. I feel like a lot of my clients would cringe at that and that's totally fair. But yeah, for me, I would say in the range of 20-ish. So why don't people leave, I guess is the question. Like if a lot of people come to you and, are then start making a lot of money. And like, the reason is because we build a beautiful relationship. And because if you can help someone, get from 0 to 10K to 20K to 50K to 100K months or whatever, like they want to stay with you. They want to have you be part of that. Like that has truly been my experience. I have not had a client that has been like, bye, now you like help me so much and I'm out. Like that has not been it at all. I mean, I think that's a trade-off or a risk you're taking, but that certainly hasn't been it for me at all. Like, again, I think if you're working with a coach that you've built like a really beautiful, strong relationship with, and you see that, like, it feels really good to do that. One thing that we did introduce this year is we do cap our revenue percentage at 20K per month. As I had more and more clients getting up there, that just felt really good to me because I felt like at a certain point, I think if someone's paying me over that in their business, like it would almost feel like my role had to change in their business a little bit. And obviously none of us really are desiring that or want that. So that's a decision I did make this year. But quite honestly, I feel like that was not based on client feedback at all. That was just based on what felt good to me. I feel like most of my clients would joke about like, I can't wait till I'm paying you 80K a month and all that kind of stuff. So that was just a personal decision based on like really what felt good, but that wasn't like it overall. Michelle said I had it in my head that it was like 30 or 40. Well, I definitely work probably 40 hours a week. So say I'm spending in the range of 20-ish on calls, give or take, but like, then the rest would be like the base camp time, the time I'm on this live stream, the time I'm with my team, like all of that kind of stuff, right? Bake it into your mastermind somehow, Emily. Awesome. Yeah. Totally. I love that. Yeah, exactly. And it's so cool that they're making over 200K per month, right? Which is amazing. But it still feels good to me to have a certain cap there, but also think about that when you're making 200K per month, like giving your coach 10% of that, if you've like built a lot of that over time together, it doesn't necessarily feel bad or make you want to leave. So I think, Emily, I saw a comment from you, but how Julia said like not changing my coach or something, but I think that's it, right? And because especially like, I know so many of my clients' personalities and traits and all of that so well by now. I know their businesses so well by now. Like it almost doesn't, like the value is there, like to start that over somewhere else. I think, not that they couldn't, I obviously fully empower them to. If you're my client, you know that anytime we come up for a resign, like my concern is like what feels best to you. But yeah, I just think it does feel best to like really build something with someone. And that's why this model works really well. Oh, thank you, Carrie. You're the best. Yeah, exactly. You know how they avoid things, all of that kind of stuff that you can call out so much easier. So like, of course, in some ways it probably would be easier to get a different coach, but it's also more effective. So yeah, someone totally could do that. But that again has not been my experience, which is why I have been full for a really long time. I know some of you are like so annoying. But that reason is why, because we really built those relationships together. And I think, yeah, once you see that someone can kind of like be with you through all of that, it's really something you want to keep going. So I think the thing that I feel like most excited about related to this that I just kind of want to share, because why not? It's my live streaming again, right? Is why I get so excited about the revenue share model is because I make money when my clients make money. And so as much as like that can feel like, well, when they just leave or whatever, it's also why it's so beautiful in my opinion. Like when I look at, if we made $1 million this year, it represents like, obviously I'm doing rough math here, but like around 10 million that our clients made in new revenue. Like that's super exciting to me. That feels super juicy. And that's what makes me like want to be on calls every week and want to show up in that way, because I can literally track how we're making an impact. Now, is the money the only way? No, of course not. And again, like with my clients, we track plenty of other metrics too. It's certainly not the thing, but to be able to have that like real-time feedback in terms of your income is something that's been really, really enjoyable for me in my business. And just, again, that representation of like, this is like our clients, like killing it is just really amazing. Thank you, Michelle. You have a way of making me feel so deeply cared for. Always felt that from you, and we've never actually worked together in a long-term container. Thank you, Michelle. It's my pleasure. Love best. I'll take it. Yes. And the revenue share. Thank you, Elisa. Yeah, it does feel like an integrity in that way to me, where it just feels like, like when a client's paying me $20K or whatever for that month, it feels like this is a good exchange, right? And so I really love that. What else? Okay, I'm gonna go through like mindset, strategy, and execution stuff. But and the other thing, I think y'all probably saw my announcement, but it has been kind of cool to cross this milestone while being pregnant too. It's just been like weird to process both of those things together. So that's been kind of neat too. But what I wanted to say about that feels important is I think that would have been really tough for me. Just a couple of years ago, if you've listened to Happy Thoughts for any length of time, you know that I think 2 years ago, my 2 years ago, my word of the year was having this. And I had to like really work on like having a lot of amazing things at once. It was like when Kenny and I were like moving in together, and like it just felt like life had just gotten so good. And I feel like doing so much work on that is what's letting me hold this of like the baby, the $1 million. I think I announced it in like within a week, right? So it's just like, I'm so grateful that I did the work on that and letting myself like have and receive on a greater level. I think that was just wildly important, because I think I would be wobbling pretty hard right now if I hadn't done that. And I haven't really experienced that in crossing that mark. Like it felt like, of course this was coming. Of course this was happening. So I think just like being able to let myself really work on that over time. And when I say I worked on it, I mean, I fucking worked on it, has been so important, because otherwise I think it would be easy to be like, something's about to go wrong, or like, this can't be a thing. And that just really hasn't been my experience this time, which has been really important. Michelle said, so curious to hear your thoughts on building a one-on-one business model when you're not business coaching and your clients aren't making revenue as part of their results. Sorry, Michelle, what I would say to that is like, I still don't think it's bad to build one-on-one. Actually, I think someone else asked me this recently in my DMs. Yeah, Lucy, same question, because she's a relationship coach. Someone had asked me this recently in my DMs. And what I said too is like, pricing is a real factor there too. Like I use a revenue share, but I use a low base rate. And so as you gain more interest and more clients, like being able to raise your prices over time is something to consider. Obviously, if you're, depends on your audience and like what you're serving and all of that. But I think just like seeing price raise is a really effective way to do that is also relevant. And then the other thing I would just remember too, I feel like our industry hates talking about this, but it's okay to have a not scalable business model. And I know that's kind of easy to say, from this vantage point, but like when I initially made the decision to focus on one-on-one, I did not have the revenue share model idea at all. I don't think that came to me for like 4 months. maybe even a little bit longer. But yeah, like I was basically on that track of being like, okay, if I just make whatever I was making at that time, like 300K or something like that for the next, 10 years, I would be really happy with that. And I think our industry tells us that's wrong. Like that if everyone isn't like shooting for the 7 or 8 figure business, you've like missed the mark or something. And I just think we have to have better conversations around what success actually means and what it looks like. And so that's something I would think about too, is like the end all be all is not a scalable business model, in my opinion. I think it's something to consider and it's something to think about. And there are pros and cons and trade-offs and all of that. But I don't know if I'm making sense, but I think that the way that gets pedestaled, like there's nothing more important than that, just isn't true. And again, like I think by saying that to myself is where this idea came from. So that's always something to consider too, is like, if that feels the best to you, what does it look like to lean into that and then see what unfolds, versus almost feeling like we're making a wrong decision there. So that's another thought I would have. It's on your short list, having this. Yeah, it was a really good word for me. Can I share about how the percentages break down in between all revenue streams? I don't have exact numbers, but I can give you like the gist. I would say like probably like between like intensives, and one-on-one like base rate kind of stuff, I would say that's probably 30%. And I would say revenue share is probably 70%. I would have to like look at that a little bit more closely, but on any given month, I think that's around what we run. So it's like the base rate stuff is hitting me around 30% and everything is taking me over, which kind of makes sense for what I said. I think I was at like 300, 350, probably maybe like 300, 350. When I started doing full revenue share. So that kind of makes sense too, in terms of like, if it's $1 million, that's about 30%. So that's probably how it runs. I would love to know how you decided on your business model and what would be your advice to find your thing. Amazing. I'm going to come back to that, Lisa. I just want to make sure I don't miss comments. To the price raising, I always struggle with not having my one-on-one feel accessible. That might be part of the trade-off. Exactly. It's completely true. Yeah. Carrie says I have to keep telling myself that the more I'm making, the more I'm taking care of, the more energy I have and will give for free. Absolutely. Yeah. Jessica says, I feel like I get in my own way at times because I don't want to always feel like I need to scale or do more, if that makes sense. 100%, Jessica. That's something I've been thinking about a lot recently too, where like, I think it would be so easy for me to be like, okay, what's next year? What's that? And I'm like, I'm like birthing a child. Like if I even make less than $1 million next year, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't want that pressure for it to always be about more. I want it to like always be about like what feels really, really good to me and what I enjoy and love. And I just think that that message has to be more important. So which takes me back to Elisa's question about like how to find your thing. I mean, I think like good news, bad news, I guess you could say, but like I tried things and then I figured it out. So I think I ran a group program a few times. I also tested the revenue model. If any of you guys have been with me for a while, you know that I did the partnership process as like a test in my business for a couple years before I made it my full business model. And so I really just tested a lot and just saw what felt good. Like when I did group programs, like I obviously really loved the people in it, but I didn't feel like I was thriving the most as like a group program facilitator. And I just paid attention to like what feels like time goes by. Like even like, this is so funny, but like even, how you see things changing in your biz becoming a mom. Okay. I love you for reposting that, Michelle. I'll definitely answer that. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, I was saying like paying attention to like where time just flies for you. Like a funny experience I had was in my first trimester whenever I would like experience nausea, if I like had a call or something like with my clients coming up, I swear it would just be gone for that like 45 minutes or whatever. And then it would almost come back later. But it was so, like, it is the thing that when I am in, I am like, I don't know what time it is. I'm not even worried if I like didn't feel good. I feel great now. Like paying attention to like where that is for you, I think is so important. And again, it doesn't mean you feel perfect all the time or that you never have like a tough client or a tough session or any of those things, but like just paying attention to like where that is. And so when I was in a group program or when I was running a group program, it's not like I was like decidedly doing a shitty job or something. I just wasn't like that on a call. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Emily says she focused on creating a group program model because she knew she'd have less time for calls. Yeah, lots of brain cells eaten. That's fair, Emily. I will take that. I will take that excuse all day long. The mom thing is something I freak out about as I think about bringing another newborn into our house and manifesting it totally happening because I don't want to have something totally explode my biz model when I have something I love, but maybe that's another trade-off. Yeah, like, I mean, this is something I'm just iterating right now with a lot of feedback from like my husband, my team. And like, yeah, I'm probably just going to cut back a little bit. But I don't plan on changing my model at all. If you're one of my clients listening, do not freak out. I'm not like firing all my clients or anything, but like, I probably will just cut back. Like, you know, the amount of intensives I do might shrink. I probably won't do something like the Millionaire thing next year. I've done some in-person VIP days this year. I won't be doing things like that. I'll probably shrink the amount of calls I have in a week to a certain extent. And so the trade-off for me is that my income really feasibly could shrink. It might not because I have the revenue percentage and my clients are all growing. So TBD, but I can't control that. But you know, something that I think I've done that has helped me so much and that I'm just so grateful for is that I have always planned my income based on our base rate, not our percentage. That's always been like bonus. And so I have room to cut back, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like our lifestyle requires me to make $1 million a year. And I think that that's been a really, really, really big blessing. And I also am like, feel like I'm in a mindset space where like, if I have to come back and tell y'all next year that I made 500K, like I won't feel bad about that for a second. Because I'll know that I was like doing what felt good. Now, this feels really, really important to say. With that being said, I am not at all saying like, well, if you're going to be a mom, you're just going to have to take an income hit. I could do something totally different in my business. If I wanted to, I could hands down 100% find a way to make $1 million next year by doing different programs and all of that. Like, that doesn't feel impossible at all. I feel like I very clearly see the path to that. It just doesn't feel that fun to me is the truth. So I'm not going to do it. But like that trade-off is just something I'm like willing to have. And again, I think that goes back to like, what are we actually making success mean? For me, it does not have to mean making $1 million. It just doesn't. And so I'm not going to like make that important just because our industry says it is. Because that's the whole reason I like am in this industry. How do you change the way you work one-on-one with someone who is just starting out, zero versus someone like Julia who had years of experience? Well, Neela, the thing that's funny about that is Julia came to me at zero. So it's just evolved over time. Yeah, like Emily, I want to grab your comment too, but I just respond to them where they're at. I mean, that's why I think I'm good at working with someone at zero or at, billions, because it's about like being with them where they're at and solving the right problems in their business for the time. So we just solved different problems when, she was at zero than we do now, but it doesn't look that much different, if that makes sense. Emily said it took me 2 years to dispel belief that I can't be a mom and make that. Oh, I lost it. It just went away. But yes, Emily, exactly. I love that you decided to do what feels good to you, despite what different experts in our industry were saying. And now you have proof that you were right all along. I find this so inspiring to just go with my gut and desires. Thank you, Lisa. And it makes sense that it's not really, Michelle said, it makes sense that it's not really about the money for you, about having a business you love and serving your clients in a way that feels good. And that's where the money naturally comes from. Yeah, exactly. And I think that, I know that like, I'm going to have something that I love doing in my business to want to not be with my baby for. Like, that feels super clear to me that if I like change my whole business into something that could make me $1 million, but that I didn't love, I would resent the shit out of it, even if it was making me $1 million, because I had to be away from my baby doing something that did not light me up. But if I can be like away, I mean, what does away mean? But you know what I'm saying? Like away from him and doing something that feels like, oh my God, that just poured into my soul too. Like, I know that that's when I'll feel good. And to me, that's what sustainability is, because if not, like I imagine, knowing myself, that if I built the thing, resented it, I would burn it down. You know, I think so many other people do get to that point where, you know, you're like, the juice, this is how I always say it to my clients, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Like the juice might be $1 million, but the squeeze feels too fucking high. And I'm like, not willing to go there. So that's how I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I'll preach. Yes. Better be a really good reason to keep me away from my baby. Exactly. Right. Emily says, that's why I finally quit my corporate job. It couldn't bear to be away from my kids doing something I hated. Exactly. Right. Like, I don't know what that feels like yet, but I know enough from clients, friends, whatever, that is going to, just be like the most important thing I could focus on. And so I feel like I'm really lucky and fortunate that I've like given myself a head start on that, but you know, want to be very conscious about being intentional about that. Yeah. Claire said that's what she did when she had Aurelia too. My family is not getting the best version of me. Exactly. Hey, Claire. Yes, regarding my resentment, my Facebook feed and my brain tell me I have to be a business coach to make me 6 figures, but that's not my passion, at least not right now. And what's the point of running a business that isn't me? Absolutely, Lucy. And I say this all the time, but I'm going to just say it again because it's worth reiterating. But like the only reason your Facebook feed says that is because business coaches have every reason to be loud about this. Like I have clients that are not business coaches that are making great money. If you're listening to the podcast right now, my coachee is a sex coach and she made 10K, I think our first month together. We're in our third-ish and she just hit 30K. Like she's just not sharing that on her feed. Do you know what I mean? Like she's sharing it on the podcast because that's the agreement there, I guess you could say, but she's sure as shit not sharing that on her feed. For a business coach, it just makes sense. Like for me to share this really is serving and makes sense, you know? So it's just different there. Oh, you love Erica. Good. Me too. I love her. Yes, exactly, Sarah. It's about what feels good to you. Hey, family always comes first, and I'm with you on making strategic decisions that'll let me have time with my baby moving forward. So excited for you. Congratulations to you and your baby too. Oh, good, Carrie. I'm so glad it's been helpful. I have loved this season. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, so let's go into mindset, strategy, execution stuff real quick. Here's my like warning before we do, is that the stuff that I'm going to tell you today is probably like the most unsexy stuff you're ever going to hear, but it's the true stuff. And what feels important to me about that is that like, y'all know, like this isn't a live stream for marketing purposes. I mean, I suppose it is in the sense that we're always marketing, but like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't even have spots open right now. So I'm just trying to give you like the truth. And I feel like this is the stuff that doesn't get marketed to a lot because it's not super sexy. It's not like what sounds best. It's not what everyone kind of wants to hear. It's not what gives you, you know, 1 million in 2.5 minutes, like that kind of stuff. But it is the real stuff. It's what has truly made a difference for me. And it's why I think so many of my clients get such incredible results. I mean, I think we've taken, gosh, like at least 4 or 5 clients over the $1 million mark this year. I think 4. I have to think about that. But, and like, these are really the reasons. And again, they're going to potentially be the unsexy stuff, but I really want you to try to like separate out like what is marketable versus like what is actual sometimes in our space. So that's what we're going into. So if you're like, oh my God, I'm so bored by this. I know, I get it, but also really try to hear me out. Unsexy true stuff, right? Hi, Lindsay. You love Erica. So happy to see another European having that success in the online space because there are definitely limiting beliefs there. Oh, I love that. Okay, good. All right. So, Mindset. So the first thing I want to say related to mindset is that I am so clear on the trade-offs of my model and I feel in full acceptance of them. And why I think that that is the most important mindset you can have is because I see so many people just fuck up a good thing because they can see a better way, right? I just saw poop and egg retrievals like move by a comment. It's like, that has to be Michelle. My favorite unsexy thing I get to talk about to my clients is poop after egg retrievals. Oh my God, I'm dead. That's so funny. I love you, Carrie. I have some limiting beliefs about that. Alessia, good. I hope that that's or I hope this podcast season's helping. Yes, I bet they do take up a lot of time and energy. I am trying to get as prepared as possible, but I'm sure I cannot be. Thank you for watching. I'm so glad. So, I see a lot of people fuck up a good thing because, you know, they'll build, like, say you built this and then you're like, yeah, but you have to be on 20 plus hours of calls a week. Okay. So again, like, you could change that if that really felt terrible to you, but like, sometimes we change it just because the industry says it's better to like work as little as possible and make as much as possible. Like, it's like, what's true for you versus what's true for the industry? And like, what trade-offs are you like willing to just see as part of business? So like that question I get about like, how do you know people are being truthful with you? How do you know they won't just make a bunch of money and leave? I don't know any of that. It's totally possible that someone could come into my program and lie to me. It's totally possible that someone could make a lot of money and leave. But again, that hasn't been my experience, but I pick this being in full awareness of that as being a potentiality. And so I could go, okay, well, what model can I have where someone could never, ever, ever fuck with me on income? What model could I have where someone never makes a lot and leaves? Like, whatever, do you know what I mean? Like, if we can just make ourselves crazy. And I think that it's so important to just be really, really in awareness. I love that you guys are like kids napping kind of. Yeah, fur babies totally count too. My fur baby is napping next to me too. So I think that that's just really important is like, can you be in awareness? Like if you have, like Michelle was saying, like, if I have a higher ticket one-on-one, it might be less accessible. Can you be in acceptance of that? Or if I have, like one of my clients I was talking to about this recently, she helps like really, really, really new business owners. And so the trade-off of that might be that like, not everyone's going to finish the program because like, they're so new. They're just like, kind of like getting in there to see what it's about. Or, you know, like the trade-off of having 100 plus people in a group program might be that you don't get to give as much one-on-one attention to eat, but like, you see how you can just decide to be in acceptance of all of that instead of chasing the next thing. Like, or I've seen so many clients like build a great business and then be like, oh, but it's like not passive enough. And so then they go kind of try to chase passive income or whatever that means, and then are kind of disappointed by that, or like, right. So my point here is like, if you can just be like, I like this thing enough to deal with the trade-offs. Again, the way I always am saying it to my clients is like, I know that the juice is worth the squeeze. Then you can be in acceptance and kind of let it go. Like, just think about, you know, a relationship and the things you just like have to be in acceptance around. You can't just like fight around every single day, right? Because we're all humans. And so I think the same is like really, really true with business model. And so that mindset has just really served me. There are plenty of trade-offs of this business model. I did like a whole live stream on them, I think, so I won't go into them here. But when you can be in full acceptance of that and stop chasing the next thing is when you can really enjoy the one you have and really make the most of it. And then the other piece of mindset that I think is really important is like being in it for the long haul. Like, I think in this industry, like everyone wants the like million in a minute. And I like try to be so transparent about the fact that this is my 6th year in business. Like, this did not become like a thing that happened in a minute. And that's okay. Like, I was always in this for the long haul, but I've also been in this long enough to see that a lot of people can come in and make fast money and then burn out really fast. And like, so many of the people that were like big names when I started aren't even in our space anymore. So many people that like had the $1 million 6 years ago don't coach anymore. And that's okay. Like maybe they made the right choice for them, but I think I've just seen that like, that's not always all it's cracked up to be. Like sustainability really is the thing there, and having that long-term mindset, right? About like, excuse me, about what actually do you want to be in for the long haul? And so when I made that decision of like, I am in one-on-one and I'm in it for the long haul. And if it looks like this amount of income, it does. And if it looks like that, it does. Like, that is so valuable. And that's not something where you're like getting yourself stuck there or whatever. I'm so sorry, I'm missing some of your comments. I'm coming to them right now. You're not like getting yourself stuck there or whatever. Like the more you can be like, I'm just in this to keep going and like in it for the long haul, the better. Curious about what you did then and what you do now instead. Okay, Lisa can answer that. I think you asked about a live stream. So let me know that and I can always link it up for you. Yes, Lindsay says, I always think of the quote, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Exactly. Yeah, the burnout is high if you speed through. Great way to say it. Michelle said, part of what took me so long to get in it for the long haul was the fear of building something that I was just going to want to burn down in 5 years. Exactly. I'm the burn down queen. At this time, I want to do it differently. Yes, totally. I think that that's just so important. So like you have to have that long haul vision and that like, what am I in this for? And then how do I enjoy the journey? It's just like I was saying, like if next year I don't make $1 million, again, I totally could. I'm not trying to like count that off, but let's say if I don't, I'm not going to be like, oh, well then fuck it, this business isn't working. I'm going to be like, okay, like maybe I will make less for a few years while my child is small, and then maybe I'll ramp it up after that. But I'm thinking so long-term about it. I'm not thinking about like what happens next month or what can I make sure to make happen next year. Like that's not the mentality at all. Okay. And so, and then obviously I think this goes without saying, but, the mentality of just like doing it my way, I think mindset of just doing it my way was huge too. Nobody obviously had done this. I don't know anybody that's made $1 million off one-on-one, and just like believing that I could be the one to do that, I think was really important. How do you stay in it for the long haul when blips come up, i.e. unexpected expenses, drops of income, et cetera? I'm assuming, of course, mindset and emotional regulation, but curious. Yeah, exactly that. I think that it's just that, like, it's just coming back to what really matters. So like, obviously, I mean, my income does kind of look like this because it's based on my client's income. So like if multiple people are launching 1 month, we're going to have a higher month. If less people aren't, we're going to have a lower, like, so, obviously that's my business model, but, even before that, like when we'd have ups and downs and whatever, like, I just see that as normal business. Like, I don't know any business that goes like this all the time. I went to business school and I didn't find any there either. And most of the time, if a business goes like this for a while, they're headed for this. And that's not to like make that wrong. It's just like kind of how business in the market operates. And so I think the more you can normalize it and the more you can like hold yourself through that, the better it is. But I feel like when it gets so hard is when we have like one bad month and we make it mean like we totally fucked up and something has gone wrong and stuff, that's when it gets so detrimental. And I don't think that that's the thing. What is this long-term thing? Carrie, stick around. We will tell you. Jess says it's so hard to get out of the have to top myself mindset. Yeah. I feel like what I always come back to is like, who am I having to prove that to is kind of what I would ask myself. Like, sometimes there are stuff that I really want to like do for myself, or like I did have the goal to hit $1 million. Like that felt really fun and exciting to me. But like, I feel like if I had that goal next year, it would be like more to prove that I could, as opposed to being like, that is maybe what would most serve me in the year that I'm like having a baby or whatever. So I think that that's just what I play with, is like, who's this actually for? Hi, Emma Louise. Thank you for being here. Yes. And sometimes for me as a part-time job for a couple months or weeks, I did this to be able to continue my business because I thought long-term. I love that. Yep. It's so true. It's so true that we just want to be able to like have those options to stay in it. Right. Okay, good. All right. So strategy. Again, this is the unsexy stuff, but I basically just did the same thing over and over and over, knowing that it's about momentum and not always a different strategy. And I see this with my clients so often too. Like, people will be like, well, what's so-and-so doing? Or how is so-and-so doing that? And I'm like, they're mostly doing the same shit they did when they, how are they getting 200 people in a program? They're pretty much running the exact same launch they had when they got 20 people in a program. They've just done it long enough that the momentum has picked it up and they're growing. And I think something that's so important that I was talking to one of my clients about this recently is like, you can see everyone's strategy. Like, I feel like everyone acts like strategy is this like massive secret, but like, y'all know you can just see everyone's strategy. It's actually like the most not secret ever, right? Like, I'm not saying you see if they're doing personal outreach or stuff like that potentially, but like, you can almost see that no one's hiding something from you, right? Like, how have I built this group? You can just watch that. Oh, I post in it twice a day. I go live once a week. I've just done it for a really long time. And I've gotten better at cultivating that over time. So I think that that's just really important to remember is like, y'all, we can see that. So there's usually not like this hidden strategy. Again, like if you go look at the clients like making the millions or whatever, you can be like, oh, that's how they launch. Okay, that's how they warm their people up. Okay, I can see how like their people really resonate with the way they write or whatever it is, but it's not like a secret. It's usually just like doing it enough that it takes off. And that's really what's been true in my business. Like I, started the revenue share, I think over three years ago. And it's just gotten more and more over time, of course. That's how that's going to work. There's no other hack I could have. It's not like, oh my God, how do I become like the best coach in the whole world ever and make sure that they make as much money as that? No, it's like, I just keep showing up and being like the great coach that I am and like doing what I'm doing. And that continues. Like I show up on the live stream when one person was showing up on it in this group. And now I'm showing up when a lot of people are like, that's really it, is like doing the same things over and over and getting better and better and better at them. And again, letting momentum carry you. Like, I don't really have to market this group anymore because I guess like algorithms, Facebook, whatever kind of do it. Like the momentum has carried it over time, but that wasn't always true. But it's not like I'm doing something so vastly crazy different now. Does that make sense? Did you always have such an incredible mindset or did you grow into that? I most certainly and surely did not always have such an incredible mindset. I can tell you that for sure. I worked my ass off at that. I make mindset my number one priority. It is my focus. I do it every day. I have been working on that for, I don't know, 15, 20 years at this point, probably. How old am I? 35. Yeah, probably 15 years at this point. So yes, did not always have it, have worked very, very hard at it. Do you personally have a business coach or someone supporting you in your mindset? I don't have a business coach for a variety of reasons, but most of which is like, it would like, I don't really know what I would talk about to a certain extent because it's like I took on, I think, one or two clients last year. And a lot of people like don't want a coach around that. They kind of want you to change your model. And I just haven't found the right fit for that. But I have definitely had other coaches along the way. Like y'all know, I've had a health coach. I worked with a relationship coach last year. Like I'm very into getting supported and coached. But it just depends on like when I find the right person, right thing. But I don't personally have a business coach. But yeah, so same thing over and over, knowing it's about momentum, remembering that you can see everyone else's strategy, I think is like really, really, really helpful because it keeps bringing you back to that idea that there is not like this magic secret. There is momentum that builds. Like if I think a few of you on here have been in my value-centered sales program that I'm thinking of, where when you first started, it was like, I'm doing these things and I'm not even getting calls booked. What the fuck? I'm doing these things and it's not working. And by the end of it, you were like, oh my God, my calls are booking up. I have clients. Like, and you literally didn't do anything different. You just stayed in it long enough to get the result. So the same thing is true over time. And it doesn't mean it has to take forever, but most of us won't even give something 90 days to 6 months because we're so in a hurry to hit that result that like we won't even see it out that long. So I think that really is the unsexy thing, and it's not the fun thing to sell. Like nobody wants to hear like, get in my program and then I'll just try to make you do the same thing over and over again until it pops. But that's kind of how it works. Do you know what I mean? Michelle says having the right support is everything. I found that having support in the area I want most serves me in all other areas, which is biz, life coach, or otherwise. Exactly. That has been my experience too. That's why I'm like, even when I was doing relationship coaching, help my busy, like it all feels intertwined. It's just like, are you letting yourself have support when you need it? Okay, last thing, because I have to absolutely get off it too, is execution. So obviously this has changed greatly over time, but what I have always done a pretty good job of is showing up for the most important things. And I think that is really important. No matter what stage in business you're at, is like knowing what your most important things are and like doing so good at showing up for those, where it's so easy in our space to get distracted, just like I was talking about with strategy. But like I have shown up in this group probably every single day for the last 6 years, minus some like vacations and getting married and shit like that. Right? Like I know that this is where like my primary funnel in my business. And so like I know this takes precedent. Would it be easy to get distracted with other things? Yes, of course, it's super fucking easy. But like keeping what's important is so big. Your clients are always disappointed when I say they don't need to change their strategy after 2 weeks. Yeah, exactly. Because we want to so bad. But again, it's like the not sexy thing, yet it's the thing that really works. And then the other thing execution wise is I feel like I've just really prioritized and poured into team. That especially with a business model where I'm present on calls 20 plus hours a week, I have to have an exceptional team. I think everyone does, but you know what I'm saying? Like someone has to, like be running the business to a certain extent, and when I can't in those 20 plus hours. So like really making that a priority. I think that we do the same thing with team that we do with strategy sometimes, where it's like we try someone out. If we don't have this like amazing solid relationship in 90 days, we're like on to the next person kind of thing. And certainly there are sometimes just not the right fit. And I'm like very happy to help clients with that and help them admit to that. But I also think sometimes we just get shiny object syndrome. And something that we've been really fortunate to have on our team is a lot of people with us for a long time, because Megan makes it such a priority that we pour into people, and I make it such a priority to pour into Megan and I's relationship. And it can feel like the stuff that, isn't always like the most fruitful use of your time, but it's the exact opposite. Like the most important execution I do, aside from like serving my clients really well, is being a really good servant leader to my team. So think about that as execution too. Like I really try to think about that being an important part of execution, is pouring into team as well. What do you feel moves the needle most in your business? Giving value. It's true. I feel like I'm like saying all the eye rolly shit today. I think I did a live stream about this maybe 2 weeks ago. Well, it might be the pin post, but if not, it's definitely on my website. But that has always been it. Like I have always been someone that's really committed to like showing up, serving, giving value, whether that was like in this group, on a free call, on the podcast, whatever. And that is always what moves the needle forward most for me. And that is what I always, again, next to client service and team, that will always be my priority. Like if I had to put my top 3 priorities in business, it would be serving my clients, being a good leader to my team, giving value. That's it. Like those are the 3. And by giving value, that also builds relationships, obviously, but those are the 3 that like tried and true, always have my top attention. Definitely not an eye roll from me. I so often think we here only give so much. Oh my gosh, you have to watch that live, Lucy. I'll try to link it up for you, because I like went off on how much I hate that. Before you go, can you tell us how we can work with you? Yes, I don't have spots available right now, but you can get on our wait list. It's lituplife.com/waitlist. I can link that again later too. Here, I'll respond to your comment and link that. But if you get on the wait list, you get to ask a question each month. I answer a few questions in video and audio each month, and you also get access to all the previous month's answers. So even if you can't work with me at this moment, it's a fun place to be. Okay, I will link it for you, Lucy. Sarah says, how big is your team and who's the first role you hired for starting out? I just hired a VA first. Right now, I think we have about 7 to 9 contractors on our team, definitely not full-time. But like I'm including like our web designer, our graphic designer, like things like that. But VA was the first, and our most important role is definitely my COO, Megan, and we have been working together for a really long time and just built that relationship over the years. Yes, to value. Hey, Andrea. Oh, thank you. Okay, amazing. I wish I could talk about this for longer. Maybe we'll do an encore. If you guys have more questions, let me know. Maybe I'll do an encore live on this because I feel like this, like I blinked and this was over. And I would love to give you any more value or answers I can around this, or I can do it on the podcast or whatever. So let me know if y'all have more questions. If not, I will be back next week. Megan will be here with me next week. 1 p.m. Woo. And remember, if you comment today, I will pick tomorrow 2 people to win a $100 gift card. When do you best recommend getting a COO? Katrina, I definitely had Megan in various roles first. Like she was an OBM, first a VA, then an OBM, then a COO. So it was almost like when we evolved into that. And it was just kind of like at the level at which she was managing. Like she wasn't even just managing operations. She was thinking about like the business as a whole in a bigger way, but we definitely like grew into that. But I don't know if there's like an exact right time, but almost like a right time, right person, I guess is right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The right time with the right person. That's what I meant to say. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. Let me know if you have any more questions. I will definitely link up some of the other stuff I mentioned, and I hope y'all have a beautiful week. Bye, guys.